¿Adentramos? Hostia. He absorbido el portal. Stargate. Vale. Entra por el portal. Tío, otra estatua no. No me olvide. No me olvide. Vale. No sé por qué da estos saltos del juego, tío. No me gusta. No me gusta estos saltos del juego. ¿De quién es? Hostia, hemos vuelto a la ciudad. Pero mucho menos deteriorada. Y es de día. Y este hombre es Pablito Picasso. Persona desconocida. Vale.
Salve, friend. I'm Galerius. Mind telling me who you are and what you were doing in the Shrine of Proserpina?
Si le decimos eso... Refiéreme. Y me he perdido. Va un momentito, a ver qué nos dice.
Oh, is that right? Well, just make sure you don't get lost in any other sacred places you're not supposed to be. Can't have you disrespecting the gods by accident, can we now? But listen, most folks seem a bit confused when they get here, but you seem very lost, and in more ways than one. So let me make this nice and simple for you. Live by our law here, and we'll all get along just fine.
Leyes romanas, claro. Vuestras leyes. Vamos a preguntárselo a las romanas.
Not laws, law.
Ley.
There's just one, the golden rule.
Solo hay una,
and
la
the
regla
punishment
de
for
oro.
breaking it's, well, it's kind of horrific.
But
But our magistrate insists we take all newcomers to see him, so I guess I'll let him fill you in. So then, you coming?
Come on.
Follow me.
Llévame.
When I first arrived, I couldn't believe
Right,
there were
vamos.
people living down here. But, as you can see, we've got a nice little community now. Only 23 of us at the moment, if you count the 3 who are missing. No idea how, since nobody knows a way out. But it's just big and dark enough to get lost in, if you're not careful.
Cuidado.
Aren't you going to introduce me to your handsome new friend, Galerius?
Keep it in your loincloth,
mujer que
Aurelia. I'm taking him to see the magistrate.
That pompous
De la
old
muere que
bore won't be
fumaba en la
magistrate
época
for
romana.
much longer. Anyone who helps vote him out today drinks at my bar for
A ver,
free
esta noche
tonight.
gratis. En mi baile.
Politics. I'd stay clear of it, and her, if I were you. She's... it's not my place to say. Down on your right is our farm, where I grow all the food you'll ever want. As long as all you want is leek, cabbage, and wheat. Ah, that one usually gets a chuckle.
The bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone.
¿Quién es?
Don't mind Livia. She means well. She's just been in a bad place since... Well, you know, I don't know what happened to her. Up here on your right is the chasm. If you've got a weapon, it belongs way down at the bottom. Up on your left is the forum, where you can visit the market or get yourself patched up in Lucretia's clinic in the Shrine of Apollo. Most of us have almost nothing, just what we had on us when we arrived, and what we've been able to make and scrounge up since. And this central plateau is where the magistrate and the other patricians live, so don't expect a warm welcome.
Hilarious. You're meant to be working the farm, not trudging dirt into the villas.
Take it easy, Horatius. I was just taking our new friend here to see the magistrate.
Well, he's asked me to escort the newcomer personally. The farm. Go. Now.
You'd better go with him. But just remember, they're not like you and me. Don't let them use you.
What was
Perfecto.
that? What did you just say?
I said it'll take some getting used to.
Yeah, I'm watching you, farm boy.
Granjerillo. Horacio.
Greetings,
Saludos.
citizen.
Vamos,
My name's
César.
Horatius. Magistrate Sentius asked me to escort you to him personally. Follow me, please.
Orden. Ay, ¿de qué va todo
I
esto?
expect the magistrate wants to brief you about the
La
golden
regla de
rule.
oro.
It shouldn't take too
La regla de
long.
oro. A ver.
He's busy preparing for the election later today.
Vale. Tú,
Follow me.
venga, vámonos.
We only only thing you really need to understand right now is the golden rule.
Pero
Let
corran.
me see if I can explain
Tío,
it
da
this
unos
way.
tirones más raros, tío, esta pantalla.
When I was serving in the Legion, if there was a mutiny brewing in one cohort, the legate in charge wouldn't waste time finding the bad apples among hundreds. They just divided us into groups of 10, made us draw straws,
Uy,
and whoever drew the short straw had to be executed by the other 9.
¿esto quién
Didn't
es?
matter whether he'd done anything wrong. One of us
Yes,
in 10
vale.
would die for the crimes of the collective.
Whatever are you wearing?
We call it decimation. If that seems like rough justice to you, you're in for a rude shock. Because the golden rule is exactly
Que no
10
hablan
times
nota,
worse.
¿no?
The magistrate can explain the rest.
Pero además está ahí arriba.
Who's up these
Venga.
stairs?
Oh, don't
Yo,
mind me.
Horacio.
I just live here.
Vamos a ver, ¿este quién es? Persona desconocida.
Oh, I wish Horatius would stop letting barbarians in here. What do you want?
Vamos a ver cuál es la historia.
I'm Sentia, eldest daughter of the magistrate.
pilla.
But
Claro.
you'd know that if you'd been invited in here and introduced properly. What are you doing in here? And why are you dressed like that?
Porque no he encontrado otra. Encantador. Venga,
I
ya
trust you can see yourself out.
salí. Sí. Vamos a ver para acá. Pues. Madre de Dios, los tirones que da el juego, tío. Vamos a ver. Este debe ser el magistrado. Cencio.
We're finally alone. I assume you already know who
No.
I am.
Bueno, Filofe, mentira.
May I know
Claro,
your
ok.
name?
Hombre.
A curious name to match a curious accent. But I digress. Now, you're
Hablando tú
probably
solo.
wondering why I summoned you, and I'll get to that. But first, take a look at this wondrous place, would you? A secret city built deep in the mountains many hundreds of years ago.
No puedo decir. Venga.
Indeed.
bonita.
More importantly, consider the miraculous community we've built here over the last 7 months. 22 complete strangers brought together by the fates, living and working together in our own little paradise.
Vale.
And in all that time, not a single sin has been committed. No fights, no theft, nothing.
Coño.
Have you ever witnessed something so extraordinary as a city without sin?
No.
Nor could I until I came here. But the reason for this miracle is as simple as it is terrifying. If even one person commits a sin here, every last one of us will die. You see, the builders of this place, whoever they were, left inscriptions warning, "The many shall suffer for the sins of the one." From what we can gather, breaking the law here will anger the gods and provoke a terrible punishment. Like the curses of Medusa and Midas combined, turning us all to gold.
Todos nos convertiremos en oro. Vale.
I've come to call it.
Por eso lo llaman la regla de oro, ¿de acuerdo?
It's extraordinary that we've survived as long as we have, and each day I grow more and more afraid that our time in the sun is almost up.
Vale.
And now it seems that day is finally here. All that matters is that somebody in this city is about to break the golden rule. Why else would Proserpina send you now? Unless you and I can stop them, our doom is assured. I know that's a lot to take in, and you look like you have questions. Please, ask away.
Vamos, me vas a dejar hablar. Nada más. Consejo. Estas preguntas estarán disponibles más tarde, ¿de acuerdo? Y aquí, ¿qué cuenta como pecado? Vamos a empezar. Lo primero,
An
claro.
intelligent question. There was a good
Gracias.
deal of debate about that in our first weeks here. Does it refer to crimes or to some other ill-defined wrong? Of course, everyone agrees on the basics. No theft, no assault, and certainly no murder. But beyond that, it was more difficult to reach a consensus. What about lying, insulting someone, blasphemy, trespass, trying to escape, bribery, infidelity, suicide? As magistrate, I had to exercise leadership, and so I made a decision. We must uphold the laws of the Empire to a standard never before seen. And we must honor the peace of the gods, the sacred accord between the gods and the people of Rome. It is only by offering the gods the proper respect that we may prosper, as Rome has for centuries.
Hombre, pero no creo yo que sea tan radical, ¿eh? Porque, vamos, que sigáis vivos sí que es un milagro. Tiene sentido.
Barbaric? Barbaric? What are you talking about? The Empire is the most civilizing force in the known world. Rome is a beacon of light in the darkness. For 800 years she has borne great statesmen, philosophers, poets, artists, and engineers. We have comprehensive laws protecting the rights of our citizens, which have unified countless warring tribes all across the Mediterranean and beyond, from Gallia to Judea. All our citizens are treated the same, regardless of the color of their skin or their sexual preference. Can you say the same? When our people are starving, they are given food rations, and when they are wronged, they have the right to bring the guilty party before the magistrate. Our laws forbid treason, murder, assault, and rape, as well as theft and arson, and so on. No other civilization in the world is so advanced, and you have the hubris to call us barbaric? Of course. What else would we do with those prisoners of war who would otherwise have been executed? And besides, there are laws for their protection as well.
A ver, ya nos ha convencido que es bueno tener esclavos, es impresionante, ¿eh? Vamos a atacar al grano.
Of course, but with fewer rights come fewer responsibilities, and the right to be protected by their fathers and husbands.
A ti te coge la Montero declarando esto y se te cae la corona. La madre que... Vamos a perseguir a los cristianos.
You mean the blasphemous cult responsible for burning down half of Rome last year?
No fueron ellos, pero vamos.
It's hard to blame the people for being angry about that.
La quemó Nerón. Bueno, tampoco hay esa actitud de que fuera Nerón.
Are you talking about our practice of decimation? Of course. We could hardly unite all these warring tribes without a disciplined, formidable legion.
Vamos, tiene salida el tío para todo, ¿eh? A ver, vamos a ver lo de los...
On occasion. But our gladiators are almost all volunteers seeking glory, or condemned prisoners who would have been executed anyway. I do not see the harm.
Al que mata.
Well, right now, you're a long, long way from home.
Perfecto.
I have made my pronouncement on the subject.
No.
Unfortunately, there are still those here who resist, whispering blasphemous and treasonous lies in the shadows. I would be keeping a close eye on them if I were you.
Vamos a ver. Ah, que me ha vuelto a poner más preguntas. A ver. Proserpina. ¿Por qué no puedes investigar? ¿Tienes algún sospechoso? Vamos a ver. ¿Por qué podemos entender? ¿Por qué podemos entender? No hablo latín.
You mean you couldn't speak Latin before you arrived here? How strange. But the gods are active here, and their temples and shrines hum with power like nowhere else in the Empire. Perhaps when Proserpina brought you here, she planted the seed of Latin in your mind so that you could better serve her.
Genial.
Indeed.
Bueno,
You see, in my search for a way to save my people, I learned of an ancient ritual to Proserpina, the goddess of the cycle of life and renewal. It's said to open a doorway in time so that if the unthinkable happens, one person can pass through it and travel back to the past. And when I saw you arrive in a flash of light from the goddess's shrine, I knew that person was you. You don't belong in our
como
time.
que el tío sabe que venimos del futuro.
2,000 years? That is unfathomable. Please, tell me, in your time, what did you see? What had become of us? Of this city? I have imagined it, our downfall, 1,000 times, but it still breaks my heart to hear the truth of it.
Vale, vamos a ver. ¿Cómo funciona el ritual? ¿Por qué no puedes investigar? A ver.
Well, I believe you're in the best position to go around asking people questions. You're new here, and it'll seem perfectly normal. As for me, well, it pains me to say my attempts to impose order have not earned me many friends. I fear I may not even remain magistrate after today's election. The people here would only treat my curiosity with suspicion. You shouldn't have that problem, though, unless, of course, you get off on the wrong foot.
Mal pie. Me parece estupendo. Vamos a ver si
Do
tiene
you
algún
ever
sospechoso.
stare at a problem for so long that you can't see it for what it is anymore? What's needed here is a fresh pair of eyes. The less I prejudice the independence of your investigation, the better.
Vale.
What reason could you possibly have to suspect me, of all people?
Buena observación.
I'm glad you think so. Without trust, without each other, we won't be able to prevent what is about to happen. Well, all right. There are those who wish to vote me out of office so that they can pursue their own misguided political agenda. Frankly, their selfishness and recklessness risk destabilizing the entire city. I would be looking very carefully at them
Estamos hablando de los
if I were
patricios,
you.
antes de Estado, de dinero. Ok, vamos a ver.
All I can tell you is that it's a ritual sacrifice to Proserpina. I stumbled across instructions. I have to recite a prayer, and of course, as with all rituals, some sacrifice is involved. Usually that means wine or food, or in some cases a live animal.
Pero en este no.
In this case,
Okay.
the sacrifice is rather more costly. The life of the person performing the ritual. I don't suppose you saw any sign of me in the future?
Vi resto humano en el templo. Escasamente, no me acuerdo, sí.
I assume that was me. If I'm forced to perform the ritual, it's going to cost me everything. You'll try to make sure I don't need to use it, won't you?
Vamos a darle
I
esperanza al
suppose
hombre.
that's all I can
Que
ask.
se lo crea. A ver, ¿qué me queda? No me queda. Ah, si lo hago podrás llevarme
If I
de vuelta.
understand Proserpina's ritual correctly, that problem should take care of itself. Let me see if I can explain. If you manage to prevent the sin that breaks the golden rule, I won't need to bring you here. I won't create the portal, and you will never have been able to come
Vale,
here.
todo esto será un sueño.
Thus, you'll have created a paradox. If this occurs, you should be flung back to your own time, having changed the past for all of us. Make sense?
Sí, claro. Vale. Perfecto.
Ah, good. So, are you with me? Can I count on you to figure out who's about to break the golden rule?
Vale. Apunto, claro, no sé para qué he venido.
Now, I need you to investigate the city. Talk to everyone. Help them, if it'll win their trust. I authorize you to enter private homes and inspect possessions and documents, unless, of course, you're asked to leave. Figure out who the culprit is, and as soon as you have a name, come back and tell me immediately.
Vale. Pues vamos a empezar
Oh,
ahora.
and one last thing. If I were you, I'd start my investigation by visiting Lucretia at the Shrine of
Lucrecia en el
Apollo
templo
in the
Apolo,
Forum.
el Forum.
I heard wailing from there not long ago. Seems like something's not right.
Vale, a ver.